Welcome to the Waiver Wire. Waiver Wire.
Waiver Wire.
Waiver Wire.
Waiver Wire.
What up? Welcome to the Waiver Wire, where fantasy players become fantasy legends. Here I be alone again. Like we said, it's going to be a long trip. I'm trying to get other people to join me. You know, a lot of people that I work with are in the server industry, which makes us night people. We are vampires of the social world because we are out at night. We work at night. So it's hard to get people up. It's hard to get people here. But I'm going to do my best. I'm going to keep asking around. I'm going to keep bringing people to you. But I'm going to keep bringing you this beautiful face. So we have a lot to get to. I guess first and foremost, I just saw on my phone right before I started this that Kevin decided that he would rescind his trade offer and he's going to make it work. Yeah. I wonder how this is going to go. I have a lot of good feelings about the Brooklyn Nets. What a fucking loser. What a loser. Easily the biggest pussy in the history of the NBA. I wouldn't even put him in my top 50. Wouldn't put him in my top 100 all time just because of the heart that he lacks and the arms that are long, cute, but not something that I would say, oh, gotta have him. Fuck Kevin Durant. We're going to get to the show. I'm sure that if you watch this Sunday, House of Dragons, you were also a little bit upset. Or were we not a little upset? Were we not a little let down? I mean, House of Dragons, I'm here for it, and I'm into it, and I'm going to keep being into it, but I'm going to watch every Sunday. But I mean, I get it. This is exposition. You know, they're setting us up. This is the story. They're introducing the characters. It's Game of Thrones, so you know it's gonna have big moments and low moments, and I get it. But it was pretty boring. And the C-section scene that no one asked for. No one was like, hey, you know what? Could you give me like the most graphic C-section scene? And for no reason whatsoever, the mom and the kid are going to die anyways. So keep cutting back to it and really get fucking wild with it. I mean, it was gratuitous violence for no reason. And I kind of think it was like a little desperate. Like, oh, look, we're part of the Game of Thrones world. But it's like, but you're not. Like, look, this is not. Listen, episode 1 of Game of Thrones, you push the kid out the window. I'm in. Okay, wow, cool. Show me what happens after that. Now I'm interested. But with this, I was kind of like I was falling asleep, to be honest. We had to come back on Monday morning because Sunday night I ended up passing out while I was watching it because it was so boring. So a lot left to be desired, but again, I'm there for it. House of Dragons, I will continue to watch, and I did watch The Day Shift too. I want to shout out to The Day Shift because I know a lot of people are going to hate on this Netflix vampire movie with Jamie Foxx and Snoop Dogg and Dave Franco, but I mean, it was fun. It's a vampire movie. I don't know what else I was expecting from it. I wasn't expecting some big giant, huge movie. So I enjoyed it. It was campy. It was cute. The action was pretty good in it. So Jamie Foxx isn't bad in it. I thought it was good. But those are the things we were watching this week. But now we're going to get deeper into it. Let's go to the first down. First down. UFC 278 went on this Saturday. It is my second down, and I'm going to get into it deeper. But the first thing that kind of took the sports world by shock was a Gronk watch-along where Gronk and his brothers, and they had people like Kevin Holland on. They did interviews with Dustin Poirier and all kinds of other stuff. I didn't actually watch all of it, but it's a good idea. I'll watch Gronk do anything. So Gronk and his family watched 278 live while it was going on, and they had an interview with Dana White, and Gronk is pushing Dana White to tell a story about Gronk and Brady possibly going to another team, that it wasn't always the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that there was another team involved. And so Dana White is kind of like, hey man, you really want me to tell this story? Like, I don't think you really want me to tell this story, but he's like, no, go ahead. And Dana White tells a story about how he had brokered a deal with the owners of the Las Vegas Raiders for Brady and Gronk to go to the Raiders. It was supposed to be him come with John Gruden and replace Derek Carr, and they don't have Devontae Adams at the time, but they would have had, Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller and Josh Jacobs and Max Crosby and, a pretty good team. I don't think they were going to be as good as I think the situation he walked into was way better than the Buccaneers. But John Gruden apparently shut it down in the 11th hour. So he said that Brady was looking for houses, and then John Gruden shut it down. Okay, we'll get to John Gruden in a second, whose life is officially over. He doesn't have anything that he goes and I can't imagine he gets a college job. He's definitely not going to get a professional job anymore. The emails that were leaked of him saying the N-word and being wild, and not saying the N-word, but he was very openly racist. I don't think he said the N-word. Not in that, but I think there was something else that came out where he just had cancelable, is that a word? Offenses? I don't know, because you can't cancel me, bitch. So I think John Gruden fucked up, but I think that Tom Brady, now we know who, when he went on The Shop on HBO and said, y'all going to stick with this motherfucker? And we never knew who this motherfucker was. There was lots of speculation. It was, I thought it was Jimmy G. I thought he was talking about going to San Francisco, which I still think that he tried to go to San Francisco, and Kyle Shanahan just respectfully said no, which I'm sure was a shot to, listen, at this point, you're the GOAT. Everyone tells you you're the GOAT. You've won 6 times. You're finally leaving. You think you're about to be the biggest name in free agency. You think you're about to rock the world. And this happens to you? You get this fucking John Gruden guy who's been sitting in an ESPN studio breaking down quarterbacks for the last 10 years. You get him saying, nah, I really don't. And I don't know why. I think a lot of questions of John Gruden. Also to Mark Davis and Mike Mayock and all those guys that are running the Raiders. Why didn't y'all tell Chucky to take a hike? I would have told him to shut the fuck up. I also would have said, I'm sorry, you don't want the GOAT for Derek Carr, who's probably not even going to last here for 10 years? We're probably going to move on from him at some point when he can't get the job done. You're an idiot. You're the quarterback guru. You're the guy breaking down quarterbacks, and you don't want the greatest one of all time? Fucking moron. It makes no sense, and I really don't understand it from Gruden's point of view, but maybe he just, he's a control freak, and he knows that bringing Brady on is you're saying, I'm going to give up some of the control. Offensively, he's going to be the one kind of running things. We even saw Bruce Arians be like, oh, Antonio Brown will never play for this team. And then Tom Brady said, hold on, pimp. Hold on. Just shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. You're sounding stupid right now. But I think John Gruden absolutely shit the bed on this. I don't know if they win the Super Bowl. They're definitely contenders, right? I mean, he's done much worse with much less, or he's done much better with much less. He doesn't do worse. He's always done well, no matter what. You give him Darren Waller, he makes him a fucking all-time great. He makes Hunter Renfrow very, very good. He makes all of them very good. He makes that offense much better. He would have brought Gronk with him. He probably would have brought other people with him. He probably could have even talked him back into Antonio Brown. Who the fuck knows? But it was just shocking. It was shocking that Dana White was a part of this. I think that was not something that anybody saw coming. We didn't think from this UFC 278 weekend that we would have such big news about Brady. But Gronk kind of broke the bro code. I'm sure that Brady's not terribly happy with him. I'm sure there's a sense of hey, man, what the fuck? This was private. I'm still playing. Now I got to go shake hands with, so-and-so. But he also said on The Shop that he was extra motivated now to go fuck them up. And he beat the Raiders 45-20 in that first year that he was a Buccaneer and they played. And now that makes a little more sense, right? Now the 45 is so this was not just an accidental number that just happened. He actually put his foot on the gas and fucking killed him. So it's an interesting storyline. How much are we now? I'm rooting for Raiders Buccaneers in the Super Bowl, right? That's the greatest storyline you could come up with in this very early days of the NFL. But it's a huge story. I mean, I'm sure we're going to have Brady ask the question about it. He might not give us some spin. He might not say anything. He might tell us something more. But it was just shocking to hear. It also led some people like Skip to believe that because Gronkowski did this, because he kind of broke the golden rule and, I mean, kind of said this kind of wild thing, that possibly this is saying he is fully retired. There is no coming out of retirement. He's happy with where he's at. And I could see that. I mean, listen, his body was already banged up before he came back for the Buccaneers. He has taken some of the most incredible shots, incredible illegal shots that were never called because he's Gronk and he's supposed to take it. He was the Shaquille O'Neal of the tight end position. But yeah, it was unbelievable to hear that. What idiot John Gruden. I mean, we already know now that you're an idiot because, you know, you're literally not in the league anymore, but to do this to the GOAT. And yeah, I mean, think about it now. Can you imagine Brady? You know how high I am on the Raiders now. You put Brady in where Derek Carr is right now with Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow in them. Yeah, they're a favorite. They're challenging the Bills and the Chiefs and everybody else in the AFC. That's a good team. The Bengals. They're right there in that. They're winning that division probably. They're going deep in the playoffs, and I could definitely see them winning a Super Bowl with what the team they have right now. So now is that in the back of Derek Carr's mind? Is he like, oh shit, like now this is out there and Brady's going to become a free agent next year. Like if I fuck this up, who's to say Mark Davis might go, you know what? John's not here anymore. And I know my head coach, oh, that's right, Josh McDaniels would probably be a big fan of this. So, yeah, let's go ahead and let's make Derek sweat a little bit. I know they just gave him an extension and they are all in seemingly good, you know, on good terms. But I'm just saying, this is going to be in the back of your mind a little bit. But thank you, Gronk. What a way to make a splash on your first UFC watch along. I'll definitely, let me tell you this much. On the next UFC, if it's, and let's be honest, the rest of the UFC for this was pretty boring up until the co-main event and the main event. Which we will get into on the next down. But thank you, Gronk, for this huge nugget. It's definitely a huge news story that is going to continue to go around as we lead up to the NFL season. So thank you, Gronkowski.
Second down.
Headshot. Bang. Done. Those were the words of the new welterweight champion, Leon Edwards. Did you think this is what I was going to be saying when you were watching UFC 278? I mean, if you were watching 24 minutes of that, well, actually, I mean, Leon Edwards came out, he got him down, the first takedown that has ever happened to him in his UFC career. Big deal. He mounted him and he was on his back. I mean, he definitely won the first round, and I think everybody was kind of shocked, including Kamaru Usman. And then you saw Usman come out and play it very safe but aggressive. He pushed the tempo. He was the aggressor the entire time. He was landing more strikes, albeit not devastating strikes, but they were strikes. He clearly won rounds 2, 3, and 4. And then in the 5th round, I mean, listen, Leon Edwards in between rounds, he can't even look at his coach because he's so upset with himself. He's so mad at what has happened in the fight so far that he's just discussing with himself. He can't even listen to anybody. He's throwing leg kicks, inside leg kicks, pretty much the entire beginning of this 5th round. And people are going, what the hell? What's this for? He's also feigning with his right. So he's trying to get him to lower his hand, lower his guard. I can only assume this was the plan because the man did it. With 56 seconds left, it was truly like 58 seconds left when he landed the kick, but then for him to fall to the ground like a rag doll. But he landed a head kick, a left head kick that just fucking flatlines Kamaru Usman. No one sees it coming. The entire room is shocked. Joe Rogan and DC's reaction is fucking hilarious. Dana White, everybody is just floored. Gronk and his whole family are all. It's if you were watching like I was, where I had pretty much. It was on, but like I was watching things on the TV as well, so I had it on my phone, and I was paying attention, but not really. And then the reaction, oh my god, and then looking down and seeing, oh wow, Kamara. I'm thinking Kamara knocked him out. Something happened. Kamara let one loose and caught Leon and knocked him out. And it's Kamara Usman laying there with his eyes open, and he said, "We were writing his obituary, and Leon Edwards." Kicks him to the shadow realm. It's so true. It is in one kick, this man changed his life. He was about to go back into the deck. He would have been forgotten about. He would have made a couple more $100,000 from the rest of his career. Maybe I'm being generous with saying $100,000. He would have struggled over his next couple of fights to make money, and he would have never probably got to fight another chance at the belt again. And with one kick, with one mess up by Kamaru Usman by leaning over and dropping that guard and not seeing that head kick just shadoosh, it was incredible. This is Jose Aldo, Conor McGregor knockout type stuff. This is Rose knocking out Zhang Weili. This is, I mean, it was so incredible to see. So much to unpack, right? Like Usman is going for his 16th title defense, which would have tied him with Anderson Silva, or maybe it would have had him break that record. I don't really know. Hey, look this up. We also had 20 fights in a row that he would have had. He would have apparently completely moved on. He was maybe thinking about fighting Kumzit, depending on how Kumzit looks versus Nate Diaz, but then he was talking about moving up to light heavyweight. Now we're looking at least one more fight. Let's say in the next fight, Kamaru Usman beats him unanimous decision. Well, I mean, you could argue that we got to do this again. You got to do a trilogy from the new. That was Leon Edwards' first fight the first time they fought. And it wasn't the best showing. Leon Edwards then went on to have a very good run of winning 10 in a row, now 11 in a row. His post-fight interview was, I mean, it gives me goosebumps right now just thinking about, look at me now. Y'all said I couldn't do it. Look, hey, I'm doing my best British accent. You know, just talking about his mom and coming from nothing, living in a tin shack. Shut the fuck up! Bones, shut up! It's so loud and intense because y'all don't know, I cut it out right before I started this second part, but I almost blew my voice out because they won't shut the fuck up. They think Dannon's about to show up, so they won't shut the fuck up. Anywho, don't get 5 dogs. I just, you know, the magnitude of what this was, the level of, we're talking about 5th round. It's over. They're literally DC and Joe Rogan are talking about, you know, it seems like he's just going at this for a moral victory. This is just to finish the fight. He's clearly dejected. You know, his body language is bad. They're saying all this and then whack! Like, it was unbelievable. Total shocker. Man, not enough to say. The rematch, the second, and now here's the problem. I am scared for Leon Edwards. You've now awoken a sleeping dragon that didn't exist before. He hadn't lost in the UFC. He was a monster for the last 5 years. We've just said, yeah, and Usman, yeah, he's going to kill. I mean, Colby Covington was the biggest, the biggest test that he really had. He knocked him out once and he beat him handedly in the second one. So, well, I mean, he beat him in the second one. So we really haven't seen Kamaru Usman tested at all. He's pretty much skated through everybody ever since he got the belt from Tyron Woodley. He's really not had anybody be in his face or somebody to fear. Shocking. The rematch is going to be one of the biggest fights ever. I could see it doing Conor McGregor type pay-per-views. It's going to be, I'll buy it. I'm buying it. Joe Rogan, who doesn't travel, said that he is going. He will go to Wembley Stadium. He will go to London, and he has got to be there to call this second fight because the tension is going to be so high. Is he going to land another head kick? How aggressive is Kamaru Usman going to be in this? Because I think he's going to be very aggressive. I think he's going to be looking to take him out, which kind of plays into Leon Edwards' skill set. Leon Edwards is a counter boxer that has really good hands, that is probably a better boxer than Kamaru Usman. I mean, it's crazy that I'm saying these things, right? I thought this was a dead giveaway. I was like, Kamaru Usman easily wins this fight. Hopefully he comes at Chimaev, but he definitely could just be moving on from this. But that is not what happened. Leon Edwards changed his stars. He changed his life. He's crying. He's, a lot of people made big deal out of it, but if you go back and watch, Kamaru Usman gets first of all, he's not even over there. They're doing the thing where some guy gets knocked out so bad that you're about to get your hand raised without an opponent standing next to you. But Usman, like the champion that he is, finally gets up. He's clearly dazed. He clearly doesn't know what's going on. But he has to ask Trevor Whitman what he hit me with. And he told him that, it was a head kick. He kicked you in the head. And Kamaru Usman's like, all right, well, hats off. He got me. I was out, and he was totally out of it at the beginning. He was telling Herb Dean, no. What are you calling this for? What are you talking about? I'm fine. It was like, no, my brother, you were out. You were looking straight up and with nowhere to go. And very, very shocking what happened. So incredible UFC 278, merely because and there were some other fights. There were some other. Tyson Pedro had some. It was kind of a weak stoppage, but he still looked good in it. The guy who fought Jose Aldo, I thought that fight was really boring. But then let's talk about the co-main event. Luke Rocco versus Pawlikosa. I wasn't looking forward to the fight or crazy about it by any means, but wow. What a fight. What a fight. That was... They should have probably given that fight of the night. I don't know what got fight of the night, but that definitely was fight of the night because, to be honest, the main event was very boring. I mean, the main event was 24 minutes of boring until Leon Edwards unleashed a baseball bat across Kamaru Usman. But how tough is Luke Rockhold? Because Pawlikosa landed some flush, clean shots that would have knocked out most people. And he was bloodied and really beat up, and he just kept coming forward. He would get rocked with a shot, say fuck you, and then land a left jab, a left straight that was just nice. And also, how tough is Pawlikosa? I mean, Pawlikosa ate some counters that definitely should have fucked him up, and he just kept coming forward. The end of the fight, this crazy motherfucker Luke Rockhold is rubbing blood all over he's just going face to face and just mashing him with his bloody face. It was wild. It was a wild fight. It was definitely a classic. We will look back on that fight and go, damn, that Pawlikosa Luke Rockhold fight was amazing, because it was amazing. They were clearly both exhausted by the end of it, but it's because of how much they had put into it. You can see Luke worked really hard. His physique was incredible. Both of them looked like fucking gods, but that was an incredible fight. And it's sad, that Luke Rockhold is retiring. It's the right thing to do, but his post-fight interview, is really amazing with Joe Rogan too. The way that Joe is just able to jump into a moment, realize what it is, and just kind of emotionally gauge himself is incredible. Joe Rogan, my Lord and Savior. But yeah, UFC 278, man. Wow. It will go down as one of the biggest. It will go down as one of the most shocking championship fights in the history of the UFC. It might be a little bit Matt Serra, GSP. It might be a little bit just that, Matt Serra beat GSP when GSP maybe wasn't as invested in fighting anymore, wasn't as in on his division. He had kind of run through it. He had been dominant for so long. He just wasn't ready for Matt Serra. Doesn't matter, because Leon Edwards, look at me now. I mean, how many shirts is this guy going to sell in London that say, look at me now? It was incredible. The promo that he just naturally... what I was going to say is Kamaru Usman gets up. He walks over. You see him Leon Edwards kind of sticks his hand out, but Herb Dean kind of grabs it down because they're literally about to say, and new, like he's announcing who won. So Kamaru Usman steps to the other side. Most of the time, you win, unless there's bad blood, you win. You usually turn to your opponent and it's, hey, man, thank you so much. They usually have a lot of love for each other. But he gets the belt put around his waist. He's big reaction. He takes it off. He raises it up. He jumps up and down right in front of Usman, but not really facing Usman. And there is no moment of, congratulations or whatever. There is one moment after he screams at the camera. He says all that he's going to say, and Usman and then his brother, Muhammad Usman, is standing right behind Kamaru Usman as they stand silent and completely still staring at their prey like, all right, you got us, but we're going to come back and we're going to get you again. I was just kind of scared for Leon Edwards. I'm like, oh, man, I think Usman might kill him in the rematch, but still, I'm there for it. I'm there for the tension that is that next fight. That rematch has big fight written all over it. Wembley, apparently, Dana just made that fight right afterwards. He said, well, God, we have to redo it now. We absolutely have to. So, huge fight. But there was a handshake. There was a tiny handshake. But there's clearly going to be some bad blood from this. If you're Leon Edwards, you're smart and you just keep, yeah, whatever, mate. I head kicked you to the shadow realm. You heard Joe Rogan. I head kicked you to the shadow realm. So, amazing. This is why UFC is one of the best sports, because at any moment, the fight can be over just like that. Everybody can get slept. Everybody can get beat. Wow. Incredible moment at UFC 278. Will always be forgotten. Look at me now. You said I couldn't do it. Look at me now.
Third down.
All right, let's talk a little football. So, fantasy football is right around the corner. I have my first fantasy draft coming up this Sunday. I'm the 10th pick. It kind of sucks. Interesting spot to be at. I like my receiver options. I'm cool with Devontae Adams, Deebo Samuel, Stephon Diggs. If that's what's left for me, that's definitely where I'm going. I definitely think wide receivers are king. And I have proof of it right here, actually. I guess it doesn't necessarily prove my point, but it shows that the amount of good receivers are aplenty, and that if you can stock load up on a lot of wide receivers, I think that's the strategy that we should go into the new fantasy footballs. Times are changing, and the league has changed, and we're Patrick Mahomes, and we're Justin Herbert, and we're Tom Brady, and Aaron Rodgers, and we throw the ball. And the days of LaDainian Tomlinson and Le'Veon Bell and these guys that used to be workhorses that would catch and run the ball, they're kind of gone. They really don't exist anymore. There are running backs that do that, and there are good running backs. I'm not doubting that by any means. And to say that you need a top 10 one, I think is a little silly. I think that you can find good running backs, and I think that you can find serviceable running backs, as we will get into our ranking here. So I have the top 50 ranking for the ESPN right here in front of me. So this is when you go on and you go to start a draft. This is what pops up, at least for most of them. It's a PPR setting, so I know that's important to some people. Who's not PPR anymore? Who the fuck is not giving you 1 point for a catch? You'll give a kicker 3 points, 3 fucking points, sometimes bonus fucking points for swinging his hamstring around, but I can't have a fucking catch per point? You want a half a catch per point? What the fuck is going on here? Which is harder, to kick a field goal or to catch a pass in the fucking NFL? I'll wait. But anyways, I digress. The top 10 here are shocking to me. One, because I get it. Number one, just Jonathan Taylor. Yes, I can agree with that. I understand. I think he will be the best running back. Naji Harris might threaten him just because I think he's going to get so many carries. And I think Austin Eckler has a really good season as well. So That being said, the number 2 is Christian McCaffrey. Now, I don't know what everybody's smoking with Christian McCaffrey. What did you see in the last 2 years? Did you see somebody who played a full season and won you a fantasy football league? Or did you see somebody who comes out, gets so much usage, he's guaranteed to get hurt? I'll bet my life that he misses at least one game. At least. The over-under on 10 games, I'm taking the under. The over-under on 7 games, I'll take the fucking under. The guy gets hurt all the time. There's no fucking way he's the second ranked. I have the stats from last year where he's not even on the top 100, you fucking crackheads. There's no fucking way. So the fact that he's number 2 is bonkers. If you take him number 2, you're an idiot. If you take him in the top 10, you're an idiot. He gets hurt all the fucking time. So if you want to go get a guy that's going to be on a Baker Mayfield-led, not that good Carolina Panthers team, go for it. Knock yourself out. The same with DJ Moore, who's number 27. DJ Moore, who is ranked above A.J. Brown, Terry McLaurin, Jalen Waddle, Mike Williams. All these wide receivers are definitely going to have a better season than DJ Brown with fucking Baker Mayfield. There's no way. Baker Mayfield is not even good at focusing on one receiver. We saw that when he couldn't connect with Odell Beckham Jr. or Jarvis Landry. He spreads it out. It's a good trait to have, but it's not going to work on this Carolina Panthers team, and they will struggle. Fuck Christian McCaffrey. You're an idiot if you take Christian McCaffrey. Okay. Then to where I'm at. Now, in my draft, I'm number 2. And as much as I want Jamar Chase, I keep going back and forth. I'm going to be mad no matter what. If I take Jamar Chase, I'm going to be mad when I watch Cooper Kupp going off. And if I take Cooper Kupp, vice versa. So I'm most days I'm Cooper Kupp. I go back and forth. Some days I'm Jamar Chase, but I think I'm going to be Cooper Kupp. And so he definitely should be number 2, if not number 1, in my opinion. I've been saying forever that if I had the number 1 pick, it would be Cooper Kupp. And I kind of, that's one of the reasons, Dannon brought that up to me, that it's kind of one of the things that makes me go, okay, I probably should listen to myself and just take Cooper Kupp, be safe, and take Cooper Kupp. 9 loves 10. And it's probably not going away. So most days I'm Cooper Kupp. Number 4 is Austin Eckler. I like that a lot. Like I said, I think that he's going to have a really good season. I think Naji Harris is going to crack up here in these top. He'll definitely be in the top 3. I think those will be your top 3. No offense to Derrick Henry, who I very much could be disrespecting, and I could be wrong. Derrick Henry could break the mold and could be go against the grain of what I'm talking about. He could be an Adrian Peterson type that just gets better with the age. But he had injuries last year, and I just don't know if he makes it a whole year this year. So I would be hesitant on Derrick Henry. But number 4 is Austin Eckler. Number 5 is Justin Jefferson. He's ahead of number 6, Jamar Chase. Both of those I understand completely. Justin Jefferson is going to have a monster year. They bring in this offensive coordinator from the Rams that is going to implement some Cooper Kupp type stuff for Justin Jefferson. Adam Thielen is aging, and I wouldn't think that he's going to be a huge threat this year. I would think they're going to go Justin Jefferson a lot. Irv Smith Jr., their tight end, is already, I think he's going to be there for week 1, but he hasn't really practiced or done any preseason. So that leads me to believe Justin Jefferson is going to ball. And I totally support that pick. You picked Justin Jefferson, you did the right thing. Jamar Chase, though, God damn. I just know he's going to go off. I know he's going to go off, and I'm going to be sitting there going, I should take him. And I really want him. If he falls to me in my 1 on Sunday at 10, I will be ecstatic. I will lose my shit if I can get Jamar Chase at 10. That would be so exciting. And it might because people believe in the running back. They believe that you need one of these top running backs. They don't like the drop off in running backs. I understand. I just am going to go a different route this year. And with that, 7, 8, 9, 10 are all running backs, and that is Derrick Henry, Naji Harris, Alvin Kamara, and Dalvin Cook, respectively. Derrick Henry, I've said my piece on. I very much could be wrong. He's a freak of nature. He's an athletic specimen. He very well could have a monster year. He could be number one. He really could. He has that kind of talent. And when he's on, and he's scoring for you, and he's winning you fantasy football weeks. I totally understand that. But Naji Harris, y'all know what I did last year. Y'all know how much I value this guy. He was probably the one of the only things that I had that went well for me. But Naji, again, will be the bell cow for that team. The problem is I just don't think Pittsburgh is going to be very good. I have them being a very bad team. So I have to leave them out of this, or I have to leave Naji out of my I'm not going to pick him at 10 if he's there, because I just can't. He's on a bad team, and I'm not picking bad teams this year. Another interesting one, Alvin Kamara. I mean, Alvin Kamara, I think we forget about this a lot, but he had that whole thing over Pro Bowl weekend where he got into a altercation, and he was arrested. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a suspension coming down for Alvin Kamara. It might even drop in the middle of the season. It might be like a 4-game suspension, but it might just be hit you right dead square in the middle of your fantasy football season. So I would have a lot of hesitations about Alvin Kamara. He's another used car. Him and Dalvin Cook are used cars. They've got a lot of mileage on them at this point. If you look at running backs history, they usually don't last that long. Jonathan Taylor, this is supposed to be a prime year for him. So that's why we've got him so high. But I would be nervous about any of these guys for different reasons. Naji, not because he's not going to give you points. He is going to give you points. But there might be weeks where Pittsburgh just gets stomped out and they're just not there. So I would be nervous about that. But I'm not going to go through the whole top 50. I just wanted to go through that top 10, coming up here in the next couple of picks. Devontae Adams, Deebo Samuel, Stephon Diggs, Joe Mixon, DeAndre Swift, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Leonard Fournette, Mark Andrews, which at first Mark Andrews is kind of high on there, but then shut up. But then when I look up my top 10 flex positions, leaving the quarterbacks out of it, for last year's fantasy football, and I'm shocked to see what I see, which is Mark Andrews in the top 10. I've got Cooper Kupp, number 1, ahead of Jonathan Taylor. Okay. He scored more than your top running back. Cooper Kupp, Jonathan Taylor, Devontae Adams, number 3, Austin Eckler, number 4, Deebo Samuel, number 5. I don't know why Deebo Samuel wouldn't be higher either. If we're being honest, is Deebo not in that Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase realm of where you should be drafting? I think he might be. So Deebo Samuel, Justin Jefferson, number 6, Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp 1, Jonathan Taylor 2, Devontae Adams 3, Austin Eckler 4, Deebo Samuel 5, Justin Jefferson 6, Jamar Chase 7. Here we go. Mark Andrews 8. Mark Andrews with 8th overall above, and Travis Kelce is right here. He's right behind him coming up, but Mark Andrews being 8 really opens my eyes to how much they use him, how much they're going to use him next year. They don't have Marquise Brown. They just have Rashad Bateman. If I'm in a position where he's there and I'm looking at overall what I want, do I want Cam Akers or Mark Andrews? Do I want Javonte Williams or Mark Andrews? I think I might need to get Aaron Jones or Mark Andrews, James Conner or Mark Andrews. If I'm torn between going running back or the top tight end, because he was the top tight end, that is some shocking shit. Number 9 was Naji Harris. Thank you very much. I was smart about that. And number 10 was Tyreek Hill. Another one that just because Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill were traded from their former teams, they're still going to put up numbers. They're still going to score. We think Devontae Adams isn't going to score. He's going to score. Tyreek Hill's going to score. So I'm high on both those guys. Y'all know I've talked about Miami and Las Vegas being a team that I think is on the rise, including Philadelphia as well. A.J. Brown, I like that pick as well. There's a lot of really good receivers, and I think that's my biggest thing going into this year. There's a lot of really good receivers, and if I can stockpile them, I think I can make do with the running backs that I have. Or let's say I have 4 to 5 really good receivers. And that means there's a disparity somewhere else in the league. Somewhere in a 12-team league, somebody doesn't have a good receiver. Now I can make a trade. Hopefully they've got at least one running back that they're willing to part ways with, and I can trade him one of these receivers for a running back and build my super team that I didn't have to worry about it in the draft. I handled it later with trades. So very interesting. Some sneaky picks in there that we've talked about already. You know, Jalen Waddle that everybody wants. What do you do with Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton? I like that Travis Etienne Jr. I like Miles Sanders. There's some very interesting teams this year, especially with the trades and the moves that people have made. But Christian McCaffrey's not one of them. Where do you take Josh Allen? Do you risk it and you go for that? Dan did get 8 teams together, so we will be doing a super flex two quarterback league with 8 of us. So in that league, my first pick, I hope, is Josh Allen. I hope I'm the number 1 pick, and I hope I can take Josh Allen, but I'll definitely be taking a quarterback in a 2-quarterback league because you don't want to miss out on a top 10 quarterback. Missing out on a top 10 running back, you maybe can make do because every team has a running back, but missing out on a top 10 quarterback in a 2-quarterback league, you're behind the 8 ball pretty much every time. Because if they have a top 10 quarterback, what is their second one bringing to the table? How much are they getting from their quarterback offensive player position? It's mandatory, I think, in a 2-quarterback league, you have to value the quarterback a lot differently. So I will, whenever we do that draft, I will definitely draft quarterback with my first pick. But not in a normal league, a normal 1-quarterback league. I mean, I'm not drafting Josh Allen high, but I am aware of how good he is and what he brings. He won me a league one year, but that was when I drafted him way late, and I saw the diamond in the rough. But which I think Trey Lance is for this year. I think a lot of people feel that way. I think Jalen Hurts. I think you get Jalen Hurts at the right spot. I think he's a big fantasy football player this year. But I've been kind of rambling on, and there we go. Fantasy football. I gave you everything that you were looking for. Headshot, bang, done.
4th down.
All right. Well, I don't know how long we've been going here, but I'm just going to make this last little part quick about Mr. Baker Mayfield. What a ride Baker's been on, huh? He goes through this whole thing with Cleveland. He thinks this is the team. He thinks that, he's got commercials on commercials about how it's his house, and then he finds himself in the midst of a crazy, crazy circus. I don't think the Browns are wrong for what they're doing. I think Deshaun Watson is a top 5 talent, and I think that they had every right to go and do that. It seems like it's going to work out maybe one day, not this year, but maybe one day. I think the Browns next year, let's see what they can do in the draft and free agency and things like that. So I mean, I'm interested in the Browns more so than I am the Panthers, and that's why I kind of feel bad for Baker. I feel like he went from a bad situation to a bad situation. I just went on a rant about in the last down. I'm just not crazy about the Carolina Panthers and Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore and Baker Mayfield. I think they have a bad season. I think they get owned by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in their division pretty easily, and they could sneak out some wins against the other teams in there because the Saints and the Falcons are nothing to write home about. The Falcons will be one of the worst teams. But I'm not crazy about it. And, you brought Baker in because you weren't big on Sam Darnold. Well, now what do you do with Sam Darnold? I mean, are you just holding on to him because you wanted to in case Baker doesn't look good? Well, that's I don't know. It's a weird dynamic in that quarterback room. I would love to be a fly on the wall, but I just don't know what you do with him. You could trade him. I don't know if anybody would give you much for him, and I don't know what teams will be looking for him. Same thing goes for Jimmy G. Another interesting storyline, too, that we really haven't had closure on is Jimmy G. He's still looking for a trade. They've said it's Trey Lance's team, so we've got to just accept that. The team that you would imagine the most obvious one is the Seattle Seahawks that would want Jimmy G. Now, that's in San Francisco's division. Well, they're not going to do that. They're going to trade him in the division. Oh my goodness, bless me. They're not going to trade him in the. Do I got boogies? They're not going to trade him in the division to watch him go succeed twice a year. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So I wrote down some other teams. I mean, with what happened to Zach Wilson with his knee and where the Jets are with as far as, what they drafted and the way that they have kind of envisioned their new season, I could see them come into a decision of, look, Zach Wilson's great and he's going to be here, but let's bring Jimmy in so that this year isn't a total loss, and let's try to get better. Same thing with the New York Giants. Let's say Daniel Jones comes out and looks bad. Are they just going to tank again, or are they going to say, man, let's try to bring in something new. Let's try to fix this. So I put the New York Jets and the New York Giants on here. The Seattle Seahawks, I think, are obvious to me, but who knows? And then I put some teams on here that are interesting, and I very much doubt it. However, injuries or just not living up to the potential, especially with the first one. I'm sneezing, I'm coughing. What the fuck is going on here? Got monkeypox all on this bitch. I'm just kidding. I don't have any monkeypox. So dumb. Such a dumb thing. You can't just throw an animal and then put pox behind it and be like, now this is a disease. Oh, he's got the gorilla pox. It's worse than the monkeypox. Shut your fucking mouth. But Miami, with Tua, obviously with the picking up Tyreek Hill and everything else that we've heard about the tampering with Tom Brady, Miami wants to win. I think that's the biggest thing we got out of this Brian Flores thing, is that wanting to lose is not really in their wheelhouse, because they were willing to go and get in trouble for Tom Brady. They were going to make Tom Brady part owner for as long as he would come and sling the rock for him. That means you want to be a winner, because that's what Tom Brady is. So I don't think Miami wants to lose, and I think that if they lose games early, it might put a lot of pressure on Miami to go, look, let's go get Jimmy G. He's better than Tua, because I think he is. I think Jimmy's better than Tua. And I think that if Tom Brady is the plan for next year, well, then Jimmy G's right back in the same spot. He's holding the spot. He'll go out there and play well, but Tom Brady's coming back. Just like those 4 games that we had where Jimmy G came in and took over. It's still Tom Brady's house, and I think Miami might be Tom Brady's house next year, but we'll see. New Orleans, is Jameis 100% healed up? I don't know. And do they start off kind of on the wrong foot and go, Jameis isn't our guy for the future? However, Jimmy might be. That's a spot where Jimmy could end up in a good situation and find a home and actually play really well. I could see that being a good trade for both the Saints and Jimmy Garoppolo. The Pittsburgh Steelers, now they spent a first-round pick on Kenny Pickett. They like Kenny Pickett. I know that he's been doing well. And they also went and got Mitchell Trubisky for a cheaper deal, but still gave him a 2-year deal. They are going to start him. They have Mason Rudolph, kind of a crowded quarterback room. However, I would argue that the minute Jimmy G walks in the room, he's the best one in the room. So Pittsburgh has never had a losing season under Mike Tomlin. Let's just say they start off on the wrong foot. I could see maybe potentially in a crazy turn of events that being a trade that's out there. Cleveland Browns. I've heard this rumor. I just don't understand why. I think the Browns have accepted what this season is. This season is a loss. We're taking the loss here. All 3 of these the Cleveland Browns, the Houston Texans, and the Atlanta Falcons. I think they all might be accepting defeat to some extent, that we're not going to win a Super Bowl this year. We might be competitive, but we're not going to win a Super Bowl. So that being said, I don't really understand why they would make the move for Jimmy G, barring Jacoby Brissett breaking a leg and they just don't have a backup, or Davis Mills or Marcus Mariota getting seriously hurt and they don't have a backup. But even in those situations, I would think that then you just, like, Atlanta's this close to being a full tank anyways, right? So how would you not just, Marcus Mariota goes out, you go, fuck it. Just fuck it. Whoever's the quarterback's the quarterback. We're going to win. We're going to lose every game. We're going to go get CJ Stroud, and that's our guy of the future. I think there's those 2 quarterbacks of Bryce Young and CJ Stroud are very tempting to everybody that's in that market of let's just lose. I hope that happens to Cleveland, because if Cleveland loses, we have their first-round pick, so we would have our very good first-round pick and their very good first-round pick. If we could have 2 picks in the top 10, top 5, if we could have the first pick and the third pick, music to my fucking ears. But yeah, just some interesting things that are kind of what do you do with Sam Darnold? Does Sam Darnold fall into one of these places? Does New Orleans or Atlanta think that they can make it work with Sam Darnold if one of their quarterbacks go down? It's interesting. It's an interesting a couple of people that are left in the air is Jimmy G and Sam Darnold. They're kind of still floating above our heads. We don't really know when they're going to come down. But boy, I can't wait. I have talked and talked here. I don't know how long this has been, but thank you for sticking with me. We are so close to the fantasy football season. I will let y'all know how this next draft goes on the next show. We will really hunker down on some fantasy football as long as nobody head kicks anybody into the shadow realm next year. Headshot, bang, done. Fuck off, algorithm. Next week, we're doing it all in a British accent. So you lads can go and lick me knackers from the back. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Hit subscribe. I've got a bunch of new subscribers and views. I love it. I love it. Keep it coming. The Brinks truck is going to back up any day now. DraftKings, they keep calling and I keep going. What's the number? I think it's bigger. I think it's Aaron Rodgers. I think it's $50 million a year. Make it happen, Brinks truck. I'm calling out the Brinks truck now. That's not it. DraftKings, hit the promo code. Fuck the algorithm. Love it.